So with all the recent announcements for the Nintendo Switch 2, games for the Switch 2, one of the things I'm the most excited about is something that was announced in the Direct prior to the Switch 2 Direct, which was Tomodachi Life Forever. This is something that I've been wanting for a long time alongside many other people, that being a sequel to the cult classic 3DS game Tomodachi Life. So if you are unfamiliar with Tomodachi Life for the 3DS, which I can't really blame you because it's a very off-the-wall and bizarre title, essentially you are playing an observer role, watching over all of your Miis on an island, interact with each other, sometimes fall in love, other times argue with each other, and you're kind of like loosely taking care of them and like sort of influencing what all happens. But whereas other games like Animal Crossing or The Sims, where you are directly in control of everything that happens, in Tomodachi Life things just kind of happen and you just kind of like watch and laugh at everything that happens. I've always seen it as kind of like playing an interactive reality show or something, and that's part of the game's charm. It's the reason why so many people have fallen in love with it and have desperately wanted a sequel to this day. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about some ideas for what Nintendo could do with the upcoming sequel to Tomodachi Life for the Switch, and things that I would love to see to make the game even better. So just a quick disclaimer before we do get into this video, at the current moment I'm unable to record my own gameplay of Tomodachi Life, so in order to make sure that proper credit is given where credit is due, anytime I use gameplay footage from a YouTube video, there's going to be text on screen showing where exactly the video footage is coming from, and then likewise in the description of this video there will be a link to every single YouTube video that is used in this video. So anyway, let's get into Tomodachi Life Forever and what Nintendo hopefully will do with it. The biggest thing that I've always wanted to see with a sequel to Tomodachi Life is more friend features and just an overall greater sense of online mechanics. One of the big apps that Nintendo had a few years ago was Miitomo. Unfortunately it's shut down now, but it was kind of like an interactive little like social media platform that they used for some good press during their trying times with the Wii U. And while it isn't still active, I always did think that it was a pretty novel concept, and I think incorporating it into Tomodachi Life is the perfect situation where they can kind of add a whole branch of social interactivity within this already innately social game. Or if they want to go a different route with the social media, imagine if your Miis on your island have their own social media platform that each day you're able to check in and look at what they're posting about each other, or even just what's going on in their own lives. Maybe two of your Miis fall in love and they go on their first date and then they make a post on like Miitomo or Miiverse or whatever kind of social media platform they call it. Imagine if like they make a post and it's kind of worded in a similar way to how, you know, actual people would format their posts, or even just comically unlike what normal people would do. I'm gonna get more into this idea of the whole drama system because I would love to see more drama in this game, but imagine if two of your Miis start fighting and then one of them like blocks the other Mii on the social media platform in game, and you just get to kind of like look at that happen. There are so many ways Nintendo could have fun with this idea. Just the thought of like you not posting on the social media platform but seeing your Miis all kind of like have their own way with a post would just be so funny, and it would just really fall in line with this game's design philosophy of you're kind of a spectator in a way watching all of this unfold. You still are influencing their decisions, but at the end of the day, this is a game where you're kind of letting the Miis have a life of their own on the island, and a social media platform in game that you get to kind of like watch the Miis all you know, kind of interact with one another in that way too, would just be really funny. This isn't necessarily something I'm expecting to see in the game, but I would be lying if I said it would not absolutely be the coolest and funniest thing like of all time. Another feature that I think would be really cool in terms of online functionality is some kind of hub where people are able to upload their Miis and then you're able to just directly import them onto your island. One game that is sort of in the same realm but not really is The Sims, which does have a feature like this on The Sims 4, where you are able to kind of like go into the like hub of Sims that people make and then, you know, kind of like import them into your game. I think that treating this sort of like The Sims or something like that, where you are able to either upload your own Miis or maybe take Miis from what people upload maybe even your friends, and then bring them directly onto your own islands. That way you're not having to recreate them would be really cool. And a lot of the Miis that people create would probably be stuff like celebrities, or maybe like Nintendo YouTubers, or just maybe like Nintendo representatives. So imagine instead of having to create your own Mii for public figures, you would just be able to drag them directly into your islands. That way you could watch maybe like your own family members interact with, like, I don't know, Bill Trinan or something. So next up is an idea that I saw on YouTube. It was from this video right here. I'll put it on screen. And I did not think about it until they mentioned it, but it honestly, I cannot believe this was not in the original game, is family trees. So for example, there would be a lot of situations where you would create, say, I don't know, like your parent in Tomodachi Life, and then they would end up like falling in love with another family member, where obviously that's a pretty awkward situation that you don't want to happen. And the main reason that would happen is because there was no way to designate which Miis were related to who, like in the real world. So you could create family members like Miis in game, but the game would have no way of knowing that in real life they were, well, family members that probably should not be like, you know, falling in love with one another. And in the original game, there was a function to say like whether a Mii was directly related to you, like as the player. However, that isn't really helpful in this specific circumstance. So I think that being able to make it so the game knows certain Miis are, you know, related to one another would probably help fix this very inconvenient situation. This is a very niche thing, but it would be a very simple thing for Nintendo to add a function to fix. And then this also falls in line with the whole philosophy of, you know, Mii's dating in this game. I think it's about time that we see same-sex relationships in the next Tomodachi Life. But yeah, making it so the player is able to designate whenever they create a Mii for the island, like who they're attracted to. I think that that'd be a very simple way to make the game more inclusive to as many people as possible. Next up, I do think it'd be cool for the player to be able to choose from a wide array of different islands that you were able to play on. This specific idea I really was thinking about in this video after playing Stardew Valley over the past week or so. Specifically in Stardew Valley, there's a various assortment of different like layouts that are able to choose from, each with their own impacts on gameplay. In this specific case with Tomodachi Life, I don't think that it really needs to have that big of an impact on the gameplay itself. I think it would be cool just to be able to have like 6 or 7 different islands that you're able to choose between in order to, like, I don't know, slightly add some personality to the island that your Miis are living on. So maybe, for example, one of the islands is more urban and has more like city qualities. Maybe another is a bit more like, you know, deserty. Maybe one of the islands is more like tropical. Just little things like that. And then on top of that, maybe it'd be cool to be able to change the layout of where buildings are, or some buildings just completely be able to redesign it. Because it does look like from our very brief trailer that instead of your Miis living in like a large apartment complex, all just like cramped together, this time around, maybe they'll be in their own homes. So I think it'd be really cool if we have some like Animal Crossing happy home designer qualities of this game, where you're able to just kind of like, you know, loosely design each Mii's house to, I don't know, look however you want them to. I think this next point is a given, but let's see some smarter AI with the way your Miis all interact with each other. I don't think that I really need to harp on this one. I think that this is very obvious, but just making it so a lot of their interactions are more meaningful and just interesting to watch, and definitely less repetitive. I think that this was one thing that was a big point of contention with the original Tomodachi Life, is that after a while it did start to feel a little bit monotonous, because a lot of the things that would happen just kind of like were sort of repetitive after a while. And this kind of leads directly into my other point that goes alongside this, is deeper personalities with the Miis. One thing that I remember is that although there were 16 different personalities in the original Tomodachi Life, you didn't really notice it that much in gameplay. I think that each personality being way more in their own lane and contrasting more with one another would lend to some much more interesting gameplay. And then on top of that, way more dialogue needs to be added. This is something that I have no doubts that Nintendo will work on, because I think that it was definitely a big, you know, point where people had an issue with the original game, at least from my own perception. While the game was amazing, there certainly was a little bit more dialogue that could have been very beneficial to the overall, like, you know, intricacy of the way you watch the Miis interact and it not feeling stale after a long period of time. And then finally, the biggest thing that I would love to see is more drama. This is definitely not a point that I'm alone in or an idea that I created. Whenever I was watching other people's videos about the future of Tomodachi Life, one of the biggest points that I saw in like every single one was just seeing more drama, and I wholeheartedly agree. I really hope Nintendo really leans into that, because I think at its core, that's what made Tomodachi Life so fun, is just watching Miis fight over stupid things. Because at least to me, at the end of the day, what makes Tomodachi Life so fun to come back to is that it's almost like a reality show where it's like interactive. It's like playing a video game version of like Keeping Up with the Kardashians or something. For example, imagine you log onto the game and see that two of the Miis were arguing over something completely trivial and stupid, and it would kind of mirror some of the crazy like in real life arguments that people have sometimes, and you get to see your Miis just like completely fight and ghost each other over it. That's the type of stuff I want to see with the next Tomodachi Life, and have it be very random and nuanced. That way every single day you see more just like little and large things happen like this. And I'm not saying I only want to see my Miis fight. That would get very boring and annoying to watch after a while. But where some Miis have very positive relationships with one another, let's see some very negative ones too, because it definitely makes the game more fun to play. Anyway, those are some of the things that I would love to see with the next Tomodachi Life. There definitely are a lot of things that I didn't even think of, so if you have anything in your head that you would love to see with the sequel to the original on 3DS, feel free to put them in the comments below, because I genuinely do think that there's a million different things out there that I didn't even think of. If you enjoyed the video and want more, I post a lot of other videos like this one about Nintendo and just gaming in general, so feel free to subscribe, as it is the best way to support the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, peace out.